Hello everyone, Nolan West here. Tomorrow the House will be taking up legalization of recreational marijuana in Minnesota. And right now 36 states have medicinal marijuana programs and 17 states have already legalized recreational cannabis. And this bill has little chance of becoming law because it still must clear the Minnesota Senate, and they have shown no interest in passing it. But this will set the groundwork for future legislation. And I support legalization, but I know there are some drawbacks. I'm not just guzzling the Kool-Aid. So let me lay out exactly why I support it. And it's because I believe in limited government. Government should stay out of people's lives as much as it possibly can. If government is going to ban a substance, there should be a strong public health risk. And that simply isn't the case when it comes to marijuana. Let's compare it to other legal drugs here. Tobacco kills 480,000 Americans annually. Alcohol accounts for 95,000 dead Americans, and that has been steadily rising for the last 2 decades. And even if you compare caffeine, which is also a psychoactive legal drug, in 2018, caffeine overdose accounted for 92 deaths. Compare that to marijuana, which doesn't even have a single confirmed death attributed to it. That's not to say there is no risk to marijuana, there certainly is, but there is certainly not a substantial public health risk, and therefore the government should not ban it. It's an overreach into people's personal lives to do so. Now, looking at current law, we can see more problems here. Minnesota and the federal government still classify marijuana as a Schedule I drug. Schedule I drugs are defined as drugs with no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. No current accepted medical use? 36 states, including ours, have medical cannabis programs. And there is a ton of academic literature demonstrating the efficacy of cannabis use to treat certain illnesses. The fact that it is Schedule I is completely ridiculous. Current law is contradictory to itself, and it needs to change. And maybe that doesn't mean recreational legalization, but it certainly needs to change. Right now, it's in an unacceptable state. And legalization will reduce crime by eliminating the marijuana black market. States that have legalized have completely outrageous tax rates on it. All states but Maine have tax rates exceeding 20%. And this makes legal marijuana far more expensive than street prices. It just is when you add that much to it. And as a result, the black market is very much intact in many of these states. And legalizing marijuana without putting a dent in the black market gets rid of a lot of the benefits of legalizing. Thankfully, the bill we are considering tomorrow has a 10% tax rate, which will decimate the black market. People who oppose legalization consider marijuana a gateway drug, because people who start with it then move on to harder, actually dangerous drugs. So why don't we consider alcohol and tobacco gateway drugs? Because they are legal. When alcohol was banned, it became a gateway drug. Under Prohibition, it pushed people into the black market and got people killed. It funded organized crime and led to unsafe, unregulated products that literally poisoned people. In the exact same vein, marijuana prohibition enriches drug cartels in other countries and makes marijuana into a gateway drug. If people have to go to a dark alley to meet their dealer who also deals hard drugs that are dangerous, they are far more likely to move on to those harder drugs even though they went there for marijuana, because they come from the same source. This is why alcohol isn't considered a gateway drug. Bringing marijuana sales out of the back alleys and into a regulated setting will make everyone safer, in the exact same way that Prohibition stopped alcohol money flowing to organized crime. Ending marijuana prohibition will stifle income that drug cartels are currently getting from black market sales. In fact, seizures of marijuana shipments being smuggled across the Mexican border have gone down steadily since legalization, after decades of increases with more and more coming across the border. Lastly, Americans are already using the drug. That's the reality. 52% of American adults have used marijuana at least once in their lives. We've even had several presidents of our country who have admitted to using marijuana. And we have 36 states that are currently ignoring federal law in regards to marijuana. Why are we putting people in prison for something so many people are already doing? I mean, we have a prison capacity problem as it is. And you might not care about these people and think they deserve it, but imagine if it was your son or brother in prison. Can't imagine, it'd be terrible. Having a stupid mistake put you in prison when so many people are doing the same thing with no consequences is a tragedy. Now, like I said at the beginning, there are legitimate concerns in regards to legalization. We don't have a good roadside test like we do for alcohol. And while the states that have legalized haven't seen an increase in teen use, we do want to make sure it stays away from our kids. And we also don't know what widespread legalization will have on worker productivity across the board. But for those of you who oppose legalization, I hope this helps you understand my position and know that I have thought about the consequences. I support legalization because I believe in limited government. The state has absolutely no business telling you what you can inject or consume unless there is a compelling public health risk, which there isn't in this case. Current law is already completely contradictory and not even being enforced because of its own contradictions. And by eliminating the black market for illegal sales, we can make all our communities safer. And not to mention, this will bring in a booming industry to our state, creating jobs and opportunity, and also revenue for the state to invest in our schools, roads and bridges like Highway 65, and keep our taxes down. In the bill, there's a tax relief account that is built from marijuana revenues. So don't hesitate to ask questions. I couldn't cram everything into this video. I mean, it's a huge bill. But let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and please keep the discussion civil. And as always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.